So he slices off Malchus' ear, and I'm guaranteeing by that time they're ready to fight. They're ready to jump into action and make this a big brawl. But what does Jesus do?
Well, one thing, he's telling Peter to put the sword away.
Mm-hmm.
To live by the sword, to die by the sword.
Yeah.
But he's taken that ear that was chopped off and set it back on that man.
He restored the ear, right? A lot of people ask, and they say, didn't the disciples have confidence in what Jesus had said? Why is it that they scatter? Why is it that they run? Why are they so afraid in the end? After he dies, after he's taken and he's crucified, they scatter about and then they go hide in that upper room. Why did that happen? And a lot of people ask that question. But you got to think about, again, we go back to this mindset that they had, that it was going to be an earthly kingdom established by the Messiah. That they were going to fight. And the moment they get to the point where they're like, okay, it's fight time, Jesus tells them to put the swords away, and he goes calmly with the crowd. Now, if you know there's a crowd coming and their intention is to make sure that you don't live through the night, by show of hands, how many are going with them? Who's fighting? Right? We don't want that. It's not, it seems outside of our earthly instinct, right? The nature within us. It seems outside of that to even consider going in a situation like that. And not only that, but they're going to see him on trial. And how much does Jesus speak when he's on trial? He doesn't. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't fight the allegations. None of it.
Well, they asked him, are you the king?
He says,
you say that I am?
right. That's the only thing he says. Right?
Pilate says, don't you have anything to say? Don't you know I have the power to destroy you? Then Jesus said, you have no power but what my heavenly Father gives you. That's pretty strong word there.
Right. But it's not a defense of himself. He's not defending himself from what's coming. He knows it. Everybody knows it. And imagine yourself being one of the disciples and the man that you followed your whole life. You think you're going to be fighting to the death with him. He's taken away quietly with this crowd, goes peacefully with this crowd that you know wants to put him to death. When he's on trial, he doesn't speak anything in defense of himself. When he's slapped and mocked and ridiculed, he speaks nothing in defense of himself. He doesn't lash back out. He goes quietly to the cross, and he hangs there and dies. You imagine that would be a little confusing? Conflicting with the nature within us. I know it was confusing for Peter. And we see that as we go, they've taken him, and the next time we see him is in verse 18, in chapter 18, verses 15 to 27. Stephanie, would you be willing to read that for us? John 18, 15 to 27.
And Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did the other disciple. Now that the disciple was known to the high priest, and went with Jesus into the courtyard of the high priest. But Peter stood at the door outside. Then another disciple who was known to the high priest went out and spoke to her who kept the door, and brought Peter in. Then the servant girl who kept the door said to Peter, "Are you not one of this man's disciples, are you? No, I am not, he said. Now the servants and officers who had made the fire of coals stood there, for it was cold, and they warmed themselves, and Peter stood there with him and warmed himself. Then the high priest then asked Jesus about his disciples and doctrine. Jesus answered him, I spoke openly to the world, as I always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where the Jews always meet, and in the secret I have not said nothing. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me. Say what I said to them. Indeed, they know what I said. And when he had said these things, one of the officers who stood by struck Jesus with the palm of his hand, saying, Do you answer the high priest like that? Jesus answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil, but if well, why do you strike me? Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Now Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. Therefore they said to him, Are you not also one of his disciples, are you? And he denied it and said, I am not. One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of him whose ear Peter had cut off, said, Did I not see you in the garden with him? Then Peter denied again, and immediately the rooster crowed.
All right. So Jesus is led quietly off, and when I read that and I see the effect, you see the effect of it, especially in in the account of what happens with Peter. It shakes his faith in what he's been following. It shakes his faith in what he's been following. He doesn't understand. There's a confusion in Peter now that he's going to have to grapple with. And so it says Peter and another disciple. Who's the other disciple, we figure? When John writes cryptically about another disciple, he's usually talking about John, right? He's usually talking about himself. And so Peter and John are following Jesus, and they come to the courtyard, and the first thing that happens when he gets to the gate is what? Weren't you one of his followers? I don't think you want to see this. Weren't you one of his followers? And Peter says, Nope. Not a follower of him. I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. Then we get into this questioning of Jesus a little bit, which I want to go back and touch on a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of time to get to that, but we have a little bit of this questioning of Jesus here. And after we get through that, it says it's cold outside apparently, and Peter's just kind of trying to warm himself by the fire, get a little cozy, and what happens again? Hey, wait a minute. You're one of those disciples, aren't you? You're one of his disciples, aren't you? And Peter says, I don't know him. I don't know where you guys are getting this. I do not know the guy. It's not me. You're mistaken. And another time, the relative of Malchus comes and says, Hey, I saw you in the garden. You're the one that struck my cousin's ear. Peter says,
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. And in other accounts, what does it say about Peter's third denial here?
He swore.
Yeah, he swore with an oath that it was not him, right? And cursing. I did not know the man. Stop asking me this. It's not me. You got the wrong guy. That other guy was just as handsome as me, I'm sure, but it's not me. Peter was vehement. It's not me. And after he denies the third time, what happens? rooster crows. And I want us to think a minute too. The rooster crows. Peter understands the weight of what's happened. He understands, Jesus told me I was going to deny him 3 times. I didn't believe it. I knew I would fight to the death. But then death was standing and staring me in the face. Why do you think he denied Jesus?
He's going to be taken.
You cannot follow me now, but you'll follow me later.
You see, there's those 10 Commandments again. Which one did he break right there? You can't keep them. You're going to fail somewhere.
Somewhere. You can't follow me now, but you'll follow me later. And Peter proved it. He wasn't ready to follow what Jesus was going to go through. He proved it. How humbling. What courage Peter had. And now, he's humbled. And it goes on to say he leaves and weeps bitterly, right? When we look at, there's 2 different accounts of those who really have betrayed Jesus in this. One who planned it from the start, and one who did it by accident because he was trying to save his own life, right? We have Judas and we have Peter. Judas planned it from the start. Peter did it by accident because he was trying to save his own life. Judas, when he betrays Jesus, is there any redemption in the story for Judas?
Jesus said, woe to the man who betrays the Son of God.
It would have been better if he'd have never been born.
Right.
Is there ever a chance for Judas to have a redemptive side to his story? What does Judas do with his sorrow? He hangs himself. He never offers himself an opportunity for redemption. Never even a chance. He dies with his sorrow. Then you have Peter. And Peter does have a redemptive side. Peter does have a side that we want to talk about. If you turn to chapter 21, verses 15 to 17, and Amy, would you be willing to read that?
You said 21, 15 through 17?
Yes.
When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Feed my lambs. He said to him a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Tend my sheep. He said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he had said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, Feed my sheep.
3 times, Jesus questions Peter, do you love me? How many times did Peter deny Jesus?
3 times.
How many times did Jesus ask Peter to affirm his love?
3 times.
You think it's a coincidence? No, right? But it's interesting. I want. There's 2 things that I want to point out, and I don't have a whole lot of time to point them out. 2 things I want to point out. One, a lot of people talk about the differences in the language that is used. Jesus says, Peter, do you agape love me, right? A lot of people will say, agape love me. Do you agape love me? They say agape, the love of God, love me. And Peter says, well, I phileo love you. And they say, see, Peter asked him, do you love me up here? And Peter says, well, I love you down here, right? You're a brother to me. But let me ask you something. What connection is closer to you in this life than family. Jason, is there anything you wouldn't do for your siblings? We could go around the room. Is there anything you wouldn't do if they needed you?
Okay, that's slightly different. I was gonna say I wouldn't give him the last pancake, but.
If they needed you. We'd do anything for them. It's not, Jesus says, do you love me up here? And Peter says, I love you down here. Jesus says, do you love me up here? He says, I love you. You know I love you. I would do anything for you. And in his own way, Peter's saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And Jesus says, you love me that much? Feed my lambs and tend my sheep. Tend the lambs, shepherd the flock. Feed them and guide them. Isn't that what we try to do today? Feed with the teachings of Jesus and guide in righteousness. It's not just for Peter. It's for all of us. And it's the effect that Jesus had on those closest to him, that they would not depart from him. In the end, they would all die for him. And that is the conclusion of this lesson. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Well, if I could find it, John was talking about, Jesus said to Peter, now think about what we just went through. And he says, Satan has asked for you that he might sift you as wheat. But when you have been strengthened, strengthen your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now here's where he's going to become strengthened to go ahead with the Lord's work,
Right.
to strengthen the brother.
To begin that which God needs from him.